Good evening, and welcome to the St. Petersburg by Night podcasting network. Tonight, we present to you our Werewolf the Apocalypse Chronicle, Rage Across Tampa.
Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the heart of night, we rise from shadows, howling at the moon, igniting our battles, cleansing dire of an endless fight, until our final days we will fight. Thanks, man, we stand united as one. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave can tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Everywhere we run, the wind is at our back. All the warring forces we will track. From the depths of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, vampires tremble as we learn to fight. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave can tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hands. Together we rise, take our final stand. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Everywhere with the pack, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide. We shall never hide.
Good evening and welcome back to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network, where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media, and we're back with Rage Across Tampa, our 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in the city of Tampa Bay, Florida, across the bay from St. Petersburg, set in the city of Tampa Bay, which is now officially, well, sort of, under Guru control after our pack of Guru successfully displaced and executed the former Prince of Tampa Bay, Marius, and the Sheriff of Tampa, Bloody Mary, after they, well, assassinated two very high-ranking kindred out on a boat in the Gulf of Mexico, which may hopefully never be called the Gulf of America if you've been paying attention to the news. But we're not getting into that. We're all going to take a nice little bit of escapism that we all need very, very, very badly. So let's just go ahead and do that. We're so happy to be back here with you after taking a couple of weeks off. We've missed you. Hopefully you've missed us, and if you have missed us, you can always keep up with us by following us on all of that social media you see down below, because social media is still a thing, apparently, for the time being. So, you know, you can go follow us on those social medias and go click on all those links down below. And if you like what you see here, you can become a part of our community by joining our Discord server. There is a link listed down in the description where you can take part in one of our many one-shots, or possibly get on our looking for group listings to join one of our tables, or you can just be a part of the community and you can do some watch-alongs in one of our many activities, or join one of our community events where we have lots of video game play opportunities or just discussions that take place. let's just say there's a lot of opportunities to just be a part of the community and talk about things, including World of Darkness, but also just other nerdy topics. So if you're out there just looking to make some connections and to avoid the world at large, St. Pete by Night's got your back. So come join us and connect with some others who are just trying to make it day to day in this world and just do the best we can for the next several years. That being said, let me introduce you to the life preservers who are going to get me through the next, hopefully, several years. The players of St. Pete by Night that make this game possible. The players and the pack of Rage Across Tampa. Players, go ahead and introduce yourself, if you please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Champ Champagne, All-American Prophet from Salt Lake City. And I will be playing Aspen Weiss, Philodox of the Silverfangs, or Aspen Oathbreaker, if you will.
Hi, everybody. I am Noree. I will be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hey everybody, I'm Walks, and I will be playing Lucas Shaw, the Ragabash of the Shadow Lords.
Champ, that is a very scrotum-filled introduction with, lots of maggots involved as well, for anybody who understands that reference. But anyway, let's get caught up on the story as we have seen it. It's been a couple of weeks since everything that occurred. As we said, you were successful in assassinating Bloody Mary and Prince Marius. When you got to the boat, you got more than you expected. You were expecting Bloody Mary. That was your target. But what you found was also Prince Marius, who had succumbed to his beast and became a wight. And in your altercation with Bloody Mary, she unstaked Marius, and you ended up fighting two very powerful leeches instead of just one who was completely reckless and out of control. Unfortunately, during this fight, a moment happened. A moment where one of you was going to fall. You or her. A prophecy that one of you knew for months in advance. The one that knew was Aiden. And perhaps since the moment he heard that prophecy, he knew what his choice was going to be, and it was never going to be her. So as Aspen was slammed through the siding of the boat by Bloody Mary to be driven down into the depths of the water, Aiden went leaping after in his Krynos form, chasing after Mary and Aspen, getting a hold of Mary, breaking her grip on Aspen, going beneath the water, fighting tooth, claw, fang, and silver covered fist till both of them were destroyed, sacrificing himself to ensure that the task was done. Thankfully, not all was lost. A spirit catcher that had been in the pack's possession for almost a year was in Eliza's possession at the time, and she was able to successfully capture Aiden's spirit before it could pass on. So as you fulfilled the rite of opening the new cairn, she was able to transfer Aiden's spirit into the cairn. And during the ritual, he was able to say goodbye, but not a final goodbye, more of a see you eventually, when the time would come that you also would pass into the cairn, for you had all made a sacred oath that you would defend Gaia forever with the opening of this cairn, that you would be sentinels to Gaia forever, that you would forsake any other afterlife, any other opportunities to pass on in service of Gaia for this cairn. And so it was done. Now, Lucas, after having admitted that you were in some way bound to the worm spirit Hashugut, your alpha, your sept leader and pack leader Aspen also allowed you the opportunity to bind yourself to this cairn, even with the knowledge that Hashugut the spirit would pass on with you into the cairn. However, after passing on, something happened, something strange. And once the rite was complete, for the first time since your change, you heard the sound of thunder rumbling in the distance, and not the usual thunder that you've heard many, many times since arriving in Tampa, many times throughout your life, the typical sound of storm. No, this was a deep-seated, rumbling thunder from beyond. So our story tonight begins with Lucas. Lucas, you find yourself at the new cairn. You've spent quite some time here in the past couple of weeks, scouting out the territory, getting to know it, and spending a lot of time with Eliza, who has also been at the cairn a great deal these past couple of weeks. And as you have felt a great amount of change, she too has been exhibiting quite a bit of change as well. She has been in a very kind of spaced out headspace, seemingly absorbed in the cairn itself. She seems to be constantly taking in a lot of new information, almost very spaced out a lot of the time, moving about the cairn, often barefoot, her feet just kind of moving through the grass. She'll just stare off in a direction, and sometimes she'll be just talking, but to no one in particular, as she's kind of taking in the atmosphere. But in this particular instance, she is very present with you, as she seems to have detected that you are having a moment, that you're experiencing some sort of feelings right now, as you're reliving that feeling in your mind, this strange new experience of thunder visiting you for the very first time since your change. The scene is yours.
Lucas will set down the gardening stuff that he has backpacked into the cairn that he's been using to start to clear off places for tents and do some tending, and just kind of watch Eliza for a moment and then walk over to her slowly, just making sure she's not out of it again. The old broad.
Pup?
You're good today, huh?
It's a lot to take in. It's nothing like I've ever experienced before. There's a new presence, unfamiliar to me. Old, very old, which I expected, but this is different. I've felt old presences before, but this is almost archaic.
This place is big. It's bigger than the place I grew up in, so that's saying something, and it definitely feels different, I guess is the best word for it. It's hard to explain. It's close but far.
I know what you mean.
But funnier than that, have you sensed anything bad or off?
Here?
I know there was concern about me and what's going on with me. I just want to make sure that I didn't poison anything.
Don't take this the wrong way, Lucas. Because I mean it with the best intentions. For the first time, I don't sense anything bad or off about you.
That would have offended me like a month ago. But yeah, I think you're right. When we did our thing, I mean, I could feel something. And then I heard him. For the first time, I heard him. I don't know how to react to that.
This is what you were always meant to experience. You were deprived of the true Guru experience your entire life. This is what you should have felt. With your first calling, with your first change, with when your patron chose you and you chose them. You never got to have that experience. Now, for better or worse, I am not to judge what you and your spirit had or have. There's something unique about it. But this is what having a patron is like. This is what it's meant to be. It's unusual and sometimes terrifying to know that there's this greater entity and force that isn't necessarily the same intimate bond that you might have shared. But they are still very much interested in your well-being. They very much care for you, and they very much will answer your call. A patron spirit cares for all of their tribe, like their children, like their family. And this patron has been waiting for you, looking for you, seeking you out, trying to connect with you, where you may have felt that they haven't been trying to call to you, they have been calling and unable to reach you. Now, I don't think that was malicious. I think that was something inexplicable. Something that requires further study beyond my knowledge, but now you can hear what they have been trying to tell you all along. And I think they'd very much like to catch up with you. Answer all the questions you've been asking and wanting to ask all along. They can finally hear you, Lucas. And you can hear them. The only question you'll never get an answer to is why. Why they didn't try to reach out to you, because they did. They just couldn't get through. Something was blocking them, and I don't think they'll even understand how. Very few
If
things have that kind of power.
if I can hear it now, do you think that that door goes both ways?
That Thunder can hear you?
Or that my friend can hear the worm?
Do you want the honest truth?
Yeah.
If I had to guess, based off of this turn of events, my most educated guess would be that in the transfer, in the process, your friend was likely returned to the wilds.
Could we try to summon him?
If you have a name, I could try. I wouldn't do it here because it's likely they would bar any kind of entry again. But if they are deep within the wilds, they won't come forward. They are likely in the process of being reformed. And that does take some time. But that'll be an answer either way.
It doesn't feel fair.
Very few things are. Even our existence isn't fair to us. Just like it isn't fair to those that don't get this existence.
His name was Hashugut. At least that's the name he told me.
I can try.
What do you need?
Well, I would move outside of the perimeter. Just some space. There are some locations that are thinner in the gauntlet. That lets the message through. We could go through the Umbra itself, but considering the current tenuous reputation that we have with the spirits still, I'm not saying that that will be the most welcome sight at the moment, so it'd probably be best we stay on this side. I believe I have what I need. Just time. But we can try. I can't guarantee any results, though. Again, they have not been very responsive. The message may take time for a response.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
We didn't know what would happen. You have to know that. Our intentions were pure. This was their decision, not ours. Perhaps they didn't even know what would happen. Never before has something like this been attempted, I'm guessing. We have very little knowledge going into this. We are the blind leading the blind. So do not take anything that happened here as malicious by anyone involved.
No, I don't.
Good.
If there's fault, it's mine because I made the choice, but we didn't know what was going to happen, and I said I would do this, but I can't let go of the fact that Hashugut was the only one that I had when I left Chicago, and on the road and everywhere else, he was the only one that stayed near me. And he, unlike a Bane, he never did anything to me. He helped me sometimes, and very rarely did he ever ask for anything in return. And that's hard to come to terms with, that I may have betrayed that trust in more ways than one.
You may have also set him free. Spirits are not meant to be bound to individuals like that. Just like you were not meant to be cut off from your patron. For better or worse, spirits are not meant to be cut off from the Triad.
When we do this, I think it would be a good idea to have the rest of the pack there. I made a promise to them. And if we do this without them, it would feel like that I'm hiding it from them.
I think that's a very wise decision. Being forthcoming, disclosing what's happened here is very wise. Considering all that's happened, this is a fresh start, a new opportunity for you. And a good step forward. But don't ignore this opportunity given to you to develop a relationship with your patron.
How do I even begin to do that?
How do you begin a relationship with anyone? Just say hello, introduce yourself. Ask questions. You did it well enough with me.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's like a Tinder for spirits. Maybe that's a good start. I don't know. I'll talk to Artie.
Sure.
All right.
Although this spirit will give you a good banging.
There she is. I was wondering when that was going to show up.
Just because I'm a little high on life right now doesn't mean I've lost my wit and charm.
That's why I hang around you. Okay, yeah, I'll talk to the others and we'll figure something out. I mean, and like you said, if nothing happens, then nothing happens. But if something does, I would like for them to see it with their own eyes.
One thing I can tell you for certain. Spirits never truly die. They recycle. They return to where they were made. And then they reform. Now, unfortunately, from whence that one came, the breeding grounds aren't exactly fertile and pure. But they also came from peculiar circumstances. So who knows? We can hope for the best.
Do you think Grandmother Willow will come back at some point?
That's my hope. But Grandmother Willow was also taken from us in a very different circumstance. Spirit to spirit. That was not nature's bidding. That was not the circle of life. That was something terrible, something different. And if she does return, when she does return, well, let's just say, I hope it's far from here.
I mean, that's a good place to start with Thunder. There's a few questions about Hurricane.
Certainly. If anyone's going to be educated about storms, it's Thunder. They are the herald of storms.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds like a good place to start.
Indeed. One thing we knew about Hurricane, the storms that we saw, they were accompanied by Banes.
Yeah.
Quite a few. Now, unfortunately, I do believe that was because those particular storms were untended for so long. They tend to gather such things in their wake when they go untreated, untended. And to that I take some responsibility. 10 years without the rites, without the proper rituals, it makes sense that they would start to pick up.
You should probably teach that ritual to somebody else.
I intend to. I have started writing quite a bit down, as well as this place offers a unique opportunity. I have learned much, but I know that even now, should anything happen to me, I can still teach, even after I'm gone. This place has an ancestral ability to pass knowledge on endlessly, as long as it is open, as long as it is accessible, as long as it is tended to. The knowledge never truly fades. Because those that stay here, those that exist here, those that stand sentinel, can be spoken to if one has the mind and the ability to speak to them. Now, it's brief, but it is possible.
Is there any clearing out, any space you need me to work on here for you, for them? I mean, that's what I grew up doing. I grew up tending the grounds. I was a glorified lawn keeper, but I don't know, I kind of like it. Plants and flowers and taking care of things. Not everything, but mainly those two things.
Sure. This is going to be a place of gathering. I think a garden for medicines would be good. A garden for food, as this could be a place for meals, for celebrations. As this is a burgeoning sept, this will be a gathering place for, I'm guessing, many rites and celebrations, as many sept meetings might take place at this place. It would be good for it to be a self-sustaining place. I would keep your more exotic affairs separate.
Separate is respectable. Separate is respectable. Okay, I'll I'll drop something. I'll head to the seed store. I'll start work. It gives me something to do.
This is your home. Just as much as it is mine, just as much as it is theirs.
It's just weird to think about.
You got nowhere else to go, Lucas. You can't run very far now.
Yeah, you're damn
No
right.
matter where you go, you're coming back here now. It's too late.
It's gonna put a damper on my vacation plans.
Well, you better get them in quickly.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
Bora Bora after this.
More of a cold weather guy. The tropical stuff. I get enough of that here. It's nice that it's not sweltering hot and shitty anymore here. I appreciate that at least.
Wait until August.
I gotta say these things. Stop.
I'm a realist.
Is Gaia okay with air conditioning? I don't know. We gotta figure that out. You gotta figure that out. Some solar panels and some air conditioning. Artie will love that. Okay. Yeah. I'll talk to the rest of the pack and then I'll let you know.
If you appease the spirits in this place well enough, they tend to us just as we tend to them. So we need to get on good terms with them, and they will make this place comfortable for us. If we don't, they will make this place very uncomfortable.
I don't know if you know this, we're exceptionally good at making spirits happy. We're so very good at that. Okay.
It's time to turn a new page.
That's a book. That's a book.
I will try. I will start making efforts to reach out to Hashugut and see what I can do. Little inquiries now. I won't make a direct contact until you say so, but I will start putting out feelers through the avenues that I have to see if anyone has seen or heard anything through what few resources I have left. And then we'll make the official call when you say the time is right, when the others are informed.
Thank you.
It's the least I can do.
I know you've been more or less aware of this situation since that first time I showed up. So I appreciate your discretion and your help.
I appreciate your courage. It is a hard thing to face the unknown, to leave behind what we know, and take a risk, to bet on others rather than rely on ourselves. I made that risk too by trusting these very individuals. They came to me, a woman who had given up on everything, given up on being a guru altogether. They wanted to save me. A ridiculous notion at the time. But here I am. I owe them my very life, more times over than I can count.
Yeah, we pried each other out of the shit once or twice, that's for sure.
And it was worth it.
Have you talked to Aspen?
I have not. I have found that with that one, it is better for her to come to you than for you to go to her. She has her safety net. She has her network. Artie has often been her source of comfort, and well, without Aiden, she will have to rely on him more than ever. But if anyone is up to the task, it's that boy. I don't know how he does it.
Sometimes don't know how she does it. Love him to death, but wow. Okay, yeah, I haven't talked to her either. I'm probably not the best person. You know how I am. So I'm gonna let that one kind of boil itself over. Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go make a hardware store run. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go get some stuff.
I'll be here.
Okay. All right. I'll just build some stuff around you while you're doing your thing.
Don't
Whatever
be
that is.
afraid to listen for Thunder's call. And don't be afraid to answer when he does. It's scary at first, but he's calling for a reason.
He excels at being scary, so okay.
Remember, the call was soft at first.
Nonetheless, that's the thing about thunder in the distance. It's far away, but you know what it means.
If you ignore it for too long, it's going to get a lot louder.
Yeah. I won't. I won't ignore it.
Good. I'll see you soon, Lucas.
Make sure you eat.
I will. With that, she turns and she starts making her way across the clearing. And you see that she heads specifically towards a strangely built swing that's hanging from a tree limb. And as she does so, she kind of lets a hand hang down to her side. And she lets her hand kind of stroke the air as if she's petting something that's walking alongside her as she makes her way over to the swing and sits down upon it and starts swinging back and forth on the swing. You watch her for a moment before you make your way over to the clearing's edge and head towards your truck, heading out towards the hardware store. What's going through your mind with all of this information that Eliza's giving you, knowing that it seems you've gotten confirmation that whatever link you had to Hashugut has been severed, and it seems more likely that Hashugut has possibly been destroyed?
Lucas is already exceptionally angry about what happened to Aiden. He's trying very hard to overcome his instincts of being alone for so long and the things that he does and the things that he wants to just not drive towards the hardware store, but instead turn the truck towards downtown Tampa and just go hunting, despite being told whether he can or not by the pack. He's angry about that, and that anger's not helped by how scared he is. How scared he is that he's going to hear something from Thunder that he doesn't want to hear, or that he's going to hear something about Hashugut that he doesn't want to hear.
So as your hands grip the steering wheel, your knuckles almost turning white, you take a few shaky, steadying breaths, trying to gain your composure, trying to gain your focus. You do make the right decision this time. But how long you're going to be able to keep making the right decision remains to be seen. The scales seem to be in balance at the moment. The grief and the focus holding strong. But for how long? Because off in the distance, the thunder continues to roll, getting closer. The storm on the horizon, for good or bad. We now transition to another storm on the horizon, for good or bad, as we find our dear pack leader making plans for the future. Aspen, we find you and Anna Pelfrey, the Ghost Council, Philodox, sitting in a, or Galliard, sorry, Ghost Council Galliard, sitting in a coffee shop, having a conversation. She's dressed in her business casual attire, her hair done up in a neat bun, spectacles on, her hair a shock of salt and pepper. She has her legs crossed and a big cup of coffee sat in front of her as she looks over at you, studying you carefully. Miss Weiss, it's good to see you. I'm surprised to see you out and about so quickly. You've recovered well.
It's great to see you as well, Miss Pelfrey. I'm glad you could meet with me today.
Of course. What can I do for you?
I had some ideas that I wanted to run past you. I understand that you were in the career previously, but had retired straight away. I'm not exactly sure of the story behind that.
Yes, I was the district attorney in Chicago for many years, but I chose to step aside to focus on more personal pursuits, to focus more on family matters. I'm sure you understand.
Of course, I think it's admirable. But I did have some inquiries for you. I've been thinking since the victory that we had, shall I say. I think it's time to pursue larger fish. And with my inclination within the field and your expertise within the field, I think it would be beneficial for both of us to start a firm of our own, if you'd be open to that.
You and Matthias always talking about bigger fish. You just can't help yourselves, can you? You just know how to get my goat. Well, it was bigger fish that lured me down here, Miss Weiss. Are you sure you're ready for that? You've already been through quite an ordeal.
I believe it's the most logical step forward with a victory, as I said, under our belt. I think moving forward and clearing the path for more of us to be here, for more of us to thrive here is the best course of action. And that can't happen unless we eradicate the problems.
Well, I did come down here because of the connection between your city and mine. Do you know about that connection?
The most I know about the connection is the professional connection between the two.
It's a greater connection than that, I'm afraid. One could say it's familial of a sort. What did you have in mind?
I thought we could open a firm. You taking lead, of course, as I've not been a lawyer in an official capacity as of yet. My workings were more paralegal. I've recently just gotten to wear that as a badge. But I thought with you and all that you know and your expertise, especially on both sides, with our shared connection and our professional connection, we could do really great things together. I think carving a path professionally together will make it so that when that inevitably opens, when we are successful in that position as well, that we can fill that space. And also it would put us in a position to get information. Others around get closer without being right directly in the face of it.
Now, Miss Weiss, I've been out of the public eye for quite some time. I really only came down as a favor to Matthias and to get an opportunity to get some information on Mr. Bateman's dealings, to see what the connections were and to see if I could get any leads on Horatio Ballard, to see if he had any dealings extending this far south. You do understand that by coming back out into the public, I would be exposing myself to potential risk. And, as you said, you are fairly new to the career. That doesn't mean you are unqualified or unskilled. If anything, I've seen that you are quite skilled. So convince me. Show me how skilled you are. I've seen the Silver Fang ways, but I've also seen and learned how to get around the typical tricks. It wasn't his charm that got me here. How is this going to be beneficial to Chicago? How is this going to be beneficial to what you're seeking to do here? And how is this not just a personal vendetta that you are seeking to take out because of the loss of your friend?
Understandable why you would think that way. There is a bit of personal agenda towards it as well, I think. I think for a couple of us, actually. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it's what we've wanted since we've been here. Taking out our problem when it comes to Bateman and Mary. I think that benefits all of us. I also think that with getting our claws closer to Bateman gets you information for Chicago. And also, you being here, I think they're arrogant. They'll see it as running away or getting away from that situation and finding a new life somewhere else. They've always been arrogant. They always think they have one up on everyone. So they'll see it at that. And I think that'll help both of us to thrive here. And I think when getting rid of Bateman, getting the information that he has, and let's be honest, if their connection is more than professional, there is a lot we can gain as far as information for Chicago if we can deal with the Bateman situation. So I think it's mutually beneficial. I also will say that if we can deal with Bateman here, I'd be more than happy to help with anything that Chicago needs in that department as well.
Anything.
Anything but directly moving to Chicago. I still have my priorities here.
Now, Miss Weiss, I was the prosecutor in your trial, and I do know you already have quite a few outstanding debts that have yet to be paid. Are you really in any position to be making more debts?
I will tell you this. I'm a person of my word. And when something needs to get done, I make sure the job gets done. If the trial was to show you anything, that's what it should have shown you. Regardless of the situation, I get what needs to be done with as... There are always going to be drawbacks to any sort of victory. We saw that just recently. We saw that with my trial. We've seen it. I understand that drawbacks will happen, but victories have always come from things that I've endeavored to do.
how many more drawbacks are you willing to experience to get what you're going for? How much are you willing to lose to get Bateman?
We've come this far. I'm not ready to give it all up now.
What if you have to? Would you? If it meant getting what you want?
I think securing Tampa is what I want for us and our culture to thrive, for more to be here, for all of us to have this place and it be safe and thriving. So that is what I want. The Bateman of it all is a byproduct and a goal to push us in that direction.
Does Aspen really believe that?
Does Aspen believe that it's
that's
a byproduct?
Just a byproduct in this moment.
There's more to it. She believes that, yes.
Okay.
But she also has her personal issues, and also, so that's part of it.
Okay, so I want you to make either a charisma and persuasion or a manipulation and subterfuge based off of how she's feeling in this particular moment. Whether she is trying to convince or whether she is slightly lying to convince Anna.
Would you be willing to let me convince with a penalty? Because there is lying there, but she
Sure.
is still trying to convince.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what, like a 2-die penalty? What are you looking?
I'll say, we'll make it a 1-die penalty and you can't use your favor.
Clarifying question.
Mhm.
Could I use our pack 1 die that we get from our prestige?
I would say because she was involved in the attempt or in the event, no. She also came to gain the prestige from that because she helped take out Bloody Mary.
That's fair. And then beautiful. Yes or no?
Yes, you can use beautiful. She is still part human after all.
So that's 5 successes.
Okay. She studies and considers you for several moments. All right, Miss Weiss. I'm intrigued. It has been quite some time since I've been in the profession, so I'll have to do a little bit of catching up. But I think we can work something out. And if anything, it would be nice to see the reaction of it all. To see if there is a little bit of squirming from Mr. Ballard or Mr. Bateman. Or if there's any reaction at all. I know that you and Mr. Bateman had a bit of a run-in some time ago. I did a little bit of reading up on your history before I came here. Perhaps this will either put him on his heels or perhaps this will make him slip up. Time will only tell. But if he goes running back to Chicago, that's also information that's useful. Their situation is unstable, to be sure. Knowing them, it's likely they are going to withdraw for the time being. They don't have the strength and force that they used to. While she was a wrecking ball, Bloody Mary was useful, for fear, if nothing else. With her out of the picture, they don't really have the same reputation to intimidate as they did before. So it's less likely they're going to make direct attacks. But if we go into the political arena, perhaps they may still think they have strength there. I will pursue this with you. Pelfrey and Weiss and Associates. We'll start there and see what we can stir up.
I think that sounds wonderful. I'm very excited to work with you, and I will get with Matthias and look at some places for us to get our foot in the door, literally and figuratively.
Can't guarantee I'll always be in town, but I'll stay informed on things. I do have business still in Chicago, so I will be moving back and forth in the meantime. But if you need me, you know how to reach me.
Absolutely. And understandable. I'll make sure I hold down the fort in whatever way I need while you're gone, and keep you informed as well, because I think that's important.
Of course. Very good. I'll make sure that you have the resources necessary, at least for the startup. And then we'll see where we go from there. But I think this is a good step forward, and it would be good to have another opportunity or another option for the people of the area to see that Ballard, Anderson, and Bateman isn't the only option available to them.
I completely agree. And I do mean it when I say any way that I can help in Chicago as well. I will absolutely help.
I believe your intentions, Miss Weiss. When the opportunity arises and stability is truly here in Tampa, perhaps I'll take you up on it.
I appreciate it, Miss Pelfrey. Thank you.
Of course. Is there anything else you wished to speak about?
I don't believe so. I have some things I need to speak to Matthias about, but as far as the firm, that was all I really wanted to speak to you about. And also, thank you for all of your help with our victory and getting us here.
Of course. I will be in town for a little while longer. I'll make sure that any documents are signed for the startup of the business, but then I really should be returning back northward. But I'm glad that I was able to be here to assist as much as I could. And please keep an eye on Lucas. I'm glad to see that he is finally getting an opportunity to thrive and turn over a new leaf. Finding a place that can accept him and that he can feel free to grow.
Of course, I'll keep an eye on him. I think he's thriving. I think he's doing well. We've all gotten pretty fond of him too, so we'd like to keep him around.
Good. Well, thank you so much for the coffee, and we'll be talking soon.
Of course. Thank you.
With that, she stands and extends a hand out to you. She shakes
Shakes
your
it.
hand and makes her way out of the coffee shop. What are you thinking now with the agreement, the potential agreement to start up a firm with Anna Pelfrey?
She's excited. She's excited by the motivation of the prospect. So something else to pursue, something moving forward, something that she can keep going with. She will immediately text Jester though, and just, one step closer to the big B. But yeah, she's just excited to have something else to do.
Okay. Speaking of Jester, we transition now to Jester. Jester, where are we right now?
We're at Binti Davis Beach. It was maybe 30 minutes before sunset, sitting in Charles's car as I'm gathering things and putting them in a bag.
Okay. You get a buzz on your phone as you receive a text message from Aspen. Charles is sitting behind the driver's side of the car as he looks over at the buzz of the phone, which kind of disturbs the silence. He regards it, but then looks ahead again as he parks the car along the beach as you're gathering your things, preparing to exit the vehicle. Everything all right?
I'll read the message and smile. Yeah. Aspen is out doing things. It's kind of weird, but
She's a silver fang. We keep moving ahead. Just keep our eyes on the task and on the future. It's commendable, really, considering everything she's been through.
it took her like 3 weeks to get over Rachel.
It's I imagine it becomes like a callus the more you experience loss. I wouldn't know, really. I'd never been attached enough to anyone to understand what that was like.
Fucking hurts.
I'm starting to realize that.
Are you?
Can I tell you something?
Secret again?
Unfortunately, yes.
Sure. You can tell me.
You won't like it.
Okay.
He knew. Aiden knew when he got on that boat that he was going to die. That it was either going to be him or Aspen. And he told me, and I didn't believe him, because he said it came from a spirit, and spirits are fickle, unpredictable. And he made me promise not to say anything.
Why didn't he say anything?
Because the spirit told him that if he did, it would only make it harder. And I told him it was nonsense and that you shouldn't believe spirits and that you are in control of your destiny. And now I'm feeling guilty. And shameful.
Why are you feeling guilty? You told them what you believed.
Because I was wrong. Because I wish I had just supported him and told him he was doing the right thing. And told him how proud of him I was for making that choice.
You can still tell them that.
Perhaps.
Given the ritual that we all went through, part of him is still here. He can hear you. He may not be able to respond, but he could hear you.
Is that what we're doing here? For you?
In a way, yeah. I'm more doing it for me. I don't think Leon can hear me. But I need to let go of some things.
I am honored that you chose me to be here for you and not one of the others. Though I think they would be better at this than me.
Maybe. But you've kind of been here a lot with the Leon thing, so it seemed a little fitting.
I suppose that's true.
And I think they're dealing with their own grief right now.
As are you.
I'm getting used to it. Grief.
There was a time I would have said, you should. But that's because I didn't feel it, because I didn't know what it was. It's because it was what I was trained to believe. But I don't believe you should ever get used to it. It should hurt every time.
I mean, it does hurt. I miss him a lot. I can't believe the last thing I talked to him about was possibly becoming roommates again.
But isn't that the best thing?
Plans for the future? Yeah, I suppose.
I would want my last interaction with someone to be as organic as possible. Otherwise, it would feel forced.
Yeah, that makes sense. I kind of just feel like the idiot because I didn't know.
What would you have done if you did?
Watch The Princess Bride with him one last time.
In your words, you still can.
I know. I just won't get to hear his commentary. We won't get to dance together.
Maybe you will. You just won't be able to see it or hear it. But that doesn't mean it isn't happening.
You know, if we're not showing a lot of emotions, you're still surprisingly good at talking. Sometimes. Very few times.
Been reading a lot of those books you've been leaving around.
Okay.
You read the post-its, I can read the books. Seems only fair.
Fair. Fair.
Sorry to have delayed your plans, shall we?
Yeah. Let's go. I'll give his hand a light squeeze before I get out of the car.
You climb out of the car and he comes around on the side and helps carry anything that you were bringing out to the beach as you make your way down to the shore side. It's getting later in the evening, so the beach is cleared out, and as it is late in the season or early in the year, beach is pretty barren this time of year. Even though the snowbirds have come down, the weather lately has been surprisingly cool. Even though it's starting to warm up again, it got cold for a good while here. It was a little bit rainy at times, and definitely a cool chill hit as the Northwest experienced a horrible cold front, or the Northeast got a very bad polar vortex that swept through. So it was definitely chilly down here for a while. So as you make your way down, you're finding a good patch of the beach that seems to be very, very open and barren, and nobody seems to be around as you make your way down to the beach. As you reach the edge of the sand, Charles stops, looks down at his loafers, then clears his throat a little bit and starts walking out onto the beach, the sand almost immediately clinging to his very, very, very nice shoes. And he escorts you the rest of the way towards the edge of the water.
I will, from the bag, I'll take out a good sized brass brazier. Kind of hand it to him to hold for a moment as I pull out several letters and pictures, most over the past year, that the letters back and forth and the notes that Leon and I sent when everything went down, when we rendezvoused together, all of those, and the pictures that he'd drawn for me, and I'm going to put them in the brazier. And then I will add several herbs that I've gotten from Eliza. Rosemary for remembrance, garden sage for letting go, lavender for emotional healing, and frankincense and myrrh as resins for transformation and rebirth. And I will light the brazier and I'll take it back from him. And as the letters are burning, I'm going to sing the song Euclid by Sleep Token, which is a song about letting go of a relationship and moving on from it. And as it's doing, I am letting go of the emotions, the guilt that I felt for killing him, because I realize the creature I killed was no longer Leon. Bateman had destroyed him months ago, or the Leon I knew. What was left was whatever he turned him into. And the Leon I loved, I am hoping can move on after this to a better afterlife.
As the incense and the memories burn, as the smoke wafts in the wind over the water, roll me a resolve and performance check. You're at a rage 1, by the way.
Okay. Three successes.
I'm going to encourage you to spend a willpower.
I'll spend a willpower. Five successes.
Okay. As you sing, releasing all of the regret, all of the pain, all of the frustration, all of the anger and hatred, you feel some of that deep, burning anger from deep within start to subside, to leave through your song, through your words, as if a spiritual burden burns away with the memories, with the remorse, with the regret, with the pain. As if not only are you letting go physically, not just letting go emotionally, you're letting go spiritually. You may remove a permanent dot of Hoglosk. As you push out all of this agony you've built up through this past year, all of this hatred, all of this pain, the scars will never go away. That never can actually truly be healed. But the weight that they carry, the way they wound us to our core, that can be healed. We can forgive. Maybe we don't forget, but we forgive. And finally, through your song, through this goodbye, you forgive Leon for his weakness, for his inability to let go when you needed him to, for his inability to say goodbye to you. And in a way, you forgive yourself for your inability to say goodbye to him, truly say goodbye to him, when you needed to. When a guru becomes a guru, when a person becomes a guru, they have to, in some way, say goodbye to the life they had before. And that is a very, very difficult thing to do. Because that life before is what keeps them grounded. It's what motivates their fight. if it's not for those experiences that they had, those experiences and those connections and those loved ones that they had before, what's the purpose? What Gaia are they fighting for? What's their motivation? But those motivations are also their greatest weaknesses. And those are the weaknesses that the worm, that the leeches, that the enemies of Gaia seek to exploit first. And Leon just happened to be one of those weaknesses. And finally, Jester has come to terms with and is able to say goodbye to that weakness and to the pain of being exploited. And hello to a future without it. And as the last notes of that song leave your chest, you feel that weight leave your shoulders, and they start to sag slightly with relief more than anything, because you felt such tension that you've carried that you didn't even know was in them this whole time. Even as you transitioned that Hirano that was originally there into Hoglosk, you didn't realize that it was just this tension that you've had balled up in you this entire time. And to feel it relax feels so good. And you know it's going to feel sore eventually, but for this moment, this euphoric moment, it feels so good. Feels so good, in fact, that you start to feel a tingling sensation start at your fingertips and roll up your hand. And when you go to look down at your hand, you see the source of what started the tingling sensation. As you see that Charles has slipped his hand into yours. And even though he stands there very, very rigidly and awkwardly, staring ahead out into the water, he holds your hand, supplying rigid, awkward comfort the only way Charles can. And at the corner of his mouth, like a cracked statue, there is a slight upturned smile creasing his features. And from one eye, a single tear rolling down as he listens to your performance. With this release, with this relief, and with this moment, what is Jester feeling?
Over the last few weeks since talking to Chloe and feeding what I like to call the fire in her stomach, she's been filled with just this crazy manic energy, and it feels just so good just to even out and almost feel normal, something she hasn't really felt in months. A moment of like having her head clear and really enjoying the warmth of Charles's hand in hers.
It does feel strangely warm. You wouldn't expect that, considering his very, very cold personality and exterior. but it is warm. And it is comforting. You enjoy that moment together. In the quiet. In the stillness. And this is where we'll go to our break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. See you soon with Act 2 of tonight's episode. We'll be right back.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaboration with our partnered vendors, Wolfpack Dice, Ember Fox Dice, Dragon Ink Dice, Barrett the Bard, Champs Tramps, Panchi Artista, and Chromatic Creations. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpetbynight.com. The official theme song for St. Petersburg by Night is Vampire by Faith and Failure. You can find them at faithandfailure.com. You can follow SPbN on all socials with the hashtag StPeteByNight. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at ko-fi.com/StPeteByNight to help keep the stories rolling.
And we're back. In the first half, we saw Aspen meet with Anna Pelfrey to start a new law firm, Pelfrey, Weiss, and Associates, to possibly draw out Ballard from Chicago and Bateman from Tampa to the political arena of law. We saw Lucas and Eliza at the new cairn discuss the fate of Hashugut and reconnecting with the patron spirit of Thunder. And we saw Jester give a final goodbye to Leon and let go of some of the rage inside while making a new connection, or possibly further solidifying her connection with Charles. But we go from one goodbye to another. Now, several days later, we find Jester at the new cairn with the shattered remains of the old clave that once belonged to Ryder in her hands. Jester, what are we here to do?
I'm here to fulfill a request Ryder made a few weeks ago, where he said, if anything, he wanted a piece of the clave buried at the new cairn. So I plan on doing that. Actually chosen a spot under at the tree which Aspen's new clave rests.
Okay. So as this tree has kind of become a ceremonial place, a place that heralds leadership, a symbol of the new cairn and the new sept, you've chosen a place beneath it to bury a symbol of the old cairn, a symbol of the old sept, and a symbol of the old leadership, to bury the clave. So as you sit near the roots, kneeled beneath it, you have a trowel in hand where you've dug up some of the dirt, and you're staring at the shattered pieces that were unearthed from Ryder's corpse, kind of unceremoniously and accidentally by Lucas. What's going through your mind looking at these broken pieces?
I think it's fitting almost that I'm putting a piece of the old cairn in the roots of this tree, kind of representing we may be something new now, but we still carry the roots of the old cairn and the history with this.
As you're staring at the broken silver metal shards, the kind of dried blood, now a really brown, kind of rusted color clinging to the metal. That was inside me. Didn't feel very good, gotta tell you.
Now you just know how everybody else who you stabbed with it felt.
Well, they deserved it. I mean, All I was trying to do was pack
Protect.
that bitch up and protect you.
They did deserve it, and you didn't.
I'm proud
Also-
of you, by the way.
For what?
You did it. Not only did you do it, you took out the big one, too. You did
Oh, glad-
what not only I couldn't do, you did what BlackRock couldn't do. What none of us could do. We didn't even know who he was. We just heard rumors, whispers. You got them both at the same time. Kind of like a devil's threesome.
I didn't do it. We did it. And I'll glance over at the tree where we saw Aiden disappear into. He did it.
You're part of that we. You deserve just as much credit as they do. Don't forget that. You can be all rah-rah team when you're with them. But when you're alone, take the credit.
Sure.
So, that being said, you know what that means, right?
Is this goodbye?
Yeah, kinda. Did what I couldn't. Did the only thing that was keeping me here. The thing that I came back to do. Got no other unfinished business, I guess.
What about Ollie?
I have to believe that whatever Holly's doing, it's good. Whatever she's doing, it's better than being with me. She was always doing something great, something amazing. And I was lucky enough to have some time with her while she did those great and amazing things. Just like I was lucky enough to have some time with you while you did some pretty great and amazing things. Except for the biker. Seriously, Jester? Seriously? You picked the worst one, too.
He was cute.
He was a mutt.
Yeah, well, I learned that, didn't I?
Yeah. Like, you're gonna pick the easy pickings of the gang. Like, Sticky Ricky was a grade above that. Dude's hung like a horse, too. Like, there's a reason he's sticky.
Doesn't he have someone?
Several someones, but that's not, that's not neither here nor there.
Yeah, well, don't worry, no more bikers.
Yeah, I can tell. Pretty little moment on the beach. Glad I stuck around for that.
We're friends.
Uh-huh. You can lie to the others. You can't lie to me. I'm inside you. Well, was. That's ending now, I guess.
Ew. And I'm going to miss you.
No, you're not.
Oh, I mean, it will be a relief not having extra memories in my head, but I'm still going to miss you.
I'll miss you too. Especially knowing I'm not going to see you after this.
Yeah. But hey, if you ever want to come visit.
I don't know how all that works, but Maybe.
I don't know, something Anna said about the clave and my connection.
Oh, that. Yeah, I meant after you died, but yeah, that. We're still bound somehow through that. I don't know how all that works either, but we're connected. There's still a that piece is important. You need me. I'll be there.
Like you always have.
Won't be with you in the shower or, anything like that, but
Right. Because we already discussed that.
I'm a gentleman.
Mhm.
You did good, kid. Real good. I made the right choice with you.
Thanks.
I knew I was making the right choice when I made it. I don't regret anything. I only regret that I put you in that position in the first place.
I've forgiven you for it a while ago.
I appreciate that.
Before you leave, are you going to tell me the name of the clave? Like, you've kept this from me forever. I didn't even know they had names until Lucas said something.
Yeah, it was told to me, and I am going to horribly, horribly butcher the pronunciation because it's actually Seminole. But it's Adashopko Nithli. And it means Sword of Night. That's what you get for a Shadow Lord's Clave. Blame BlackRock for that one.
Fair. Fair.
But that sword was broken. So it needs a new name. And I think, Galliard, it's your job to name things.
I'll think of something.
Got a couple ideas for you. Ryder's Bane,
Mm-hmm.
Mary Killer. Just a few ideas. I'm not the good naming type. I was never the artist.
I'll keep them in mind.
Your fight's just beginning. Don't make the same mistakes I made. Don't hold back when you should rush in. And don't go all in when you should hold back. I know that's vague as fuck, but you know what I mean. Measure your attacks. Keep an eye on your surroundings. And pick your battles.
Okay.
I am real proud of you.
I'm proud of you, too. You finally get the rest you deserve.
Yeah. It'll be nice to see them again. All of them.
Yeah.
You take care of yourself, kid. When you
I
need
will.
me, I'll be there. Maybe not the whole of me, but whatever strength I can lend you. It's yours. Always.
I know.
And, take the stick out of Aspen's ass every once in a while, would you?
I'll try.
Good. You feel a hand touch your shoulder and squeeze. And then it slowly releases. And as it does, you feel like the weight you felt leave you at the beach, but different. You don't feel any anger depart you. You just feel a part of you, like an extra presence, leave. You feel your mind kind of empty. And while some of the residue, some of the remnants of the memories remain, your mind feels a little more lonely, a little less cluttered, a little less full. While you've always felt like there was always someone else in the room at all times, for the past several months, almost a year, for the first time in a long time, probably, I mean, aside from when you were really suffering that Hirano sinking, you actually feel alone in the cairn. Of course, there's that ethereal energy of all the spirits in the cairn itself, but that's not the same. It's not the same feeling of like someone's watching over your shoulder, or someone's kind of keeping you company with their hands on your shoulders. You can tell that he's actually gone. And he's not going to pop up with a joke. He's not going to throw in another dirty line. He's not going to tease you or mock you. Ryder, Sept leader of the Sept of the Weeping Willow, champion of Tampa, wielder of the Blade of Night, martyr, has finally passed on to his rest, said his last goodbye, to become no longer a wraith, but actually an ancestor. These goodbyes are the worst of all, because they were there with you. Physically, they may have passed on, but spiritually, they did stick with you. They were a present reminder, a comfort. These ones hurt because they were a good thing after death. You didn't feel guilty about his loss because he was there to tell you it wasn't your fault, to reassure you that there was nothing you could have done, that it was his choice, to aid you, to guide you. And yeah, he tells you he'll be back when you need him. But when you did need him most, when you lost yourself, he was there. Is he going to be there again? Now that's uncertain. The loneliness that creeps in, knowing that he's gone, it's a little bit harder of a sting, a little bit harder of a pill to swallow. in this moment. But at the same time, there is a relief, something to be celebrated, because you did what he could not. You accomplished what he could not. And the pride that he felt in you still remains, even in his absence. There is a slight warmth left behind. Jester, what are you feeling as the last remaining memories, the last remaining sensations of Ryder depart?
Bittersweet. Because on one hand, carrying all those memories of his and emotions that got mixed with mine, to sometimes to the point I didn't know which was heavy. But at the same time, he was always there. Even not just when I nearly lost myself to Hirano, but those late moments at night when I needed just someone to be there and not be lonely. And I will kind of fall back and just lay on the ground, stare up at the sky as I start to cry.
You lay back on the grass of the cairn, just letting all the emotions wash over you, letting the relief and the sadness, the sorrow and the joy, the intermingling of all of the sensations take hold. And yet the cairn, this living entity, is there for you and takes it all in. And while you do feel alone, you're somehow not. We transition now to several hours later the same day. Jester, you've had some time to regain your composure, to process those emotions as the pack all comes together at the assigned meeting time. You've had the time to bury the shards of the clave, to recompose yourself as everyone arrives for the pack meeting. It's been some time. This is the first meeting since the opening of the cairn, since the rite, since Aiden was dedicated. And now it's time to check in. Aspen, Jester, Lucas, Artie, Charles, and Eliza. The entire pack brought together. The scene is yours.
Aspen will have put out like a little folding chair with some, or folding table with some folding chairs, just so we have somewhere to sit and gather. But once everybody gets sat down, welcome back, everybody. New place, so that's exciting. Not much on the docket for what needs to be done, but I think a lot to discuss moving forward. So if anybody would like to start with something they want to bring up to the pack, feel free.
Eliza raises a hand. I actually did have something I wanted to propose. Obviously, if we're going to be meeting here, we don't all want to be out in the open constantly. The weather being as it is here in Florida, it's going to be unpredictable at best, and we're going to need some sort of accommodations and shelter. Now, Lucas has already talked about starting to dedicate certain areas for certain purposes, a place of remembrance, a place of gardening. And I think this is a wonderful idea, but I think there also should be a place of gathering. So, thinking back to some of the old moots and gathering times, I propose a type of shelter that is, well, temporary, that could be erected and torn down. And I'm thinking back to some old designs. There is a type of yurt structure that could be erected made of wood and canvas and cloth that can be weatherproofed and could stand for long periods of time, but if need be, could be taken down and stored should the need come, so that it does not leave any lasting impression and could make this place seem untouched for long periods of time should the need arise, but could also provide warmth during the cold season and could be aired out, the sides being taken down and making it seem more like a pavilion during the hotter times. Shouldn't be too expensive. The materials are rather cheap and the labor not too intense to create.
Okay. I think that sounds doable. Which brings me to the question, is anyone wanting to be staying here? Like Eliza, would you like to have a permanent residence within the cairn, much like we did with Lettuce Lake?
That was my intention, yes. A place such as this is going to draw a lot of spiritual energy and will need tending.
Okay. We'll get the RVs here, and if we don't have an access point to get the RVs here, we can look into potentially getting maybe like the tiny homes set up here to give the amenities, to give the comfort of being here without having to worry about its impact on the cairn itself.
Artie kind of clears his throat. That's all well and good. With our current spiritual situation, we are very much detached, technologically speaking. So this is going to be kind of a dead zone in terms of communications. Cell phones, all that kind of stuff is going to be spotty at best out here. So anybody who's staying out here is going to be hard to reach communications wise. So while people could stay out here, or while some of us could stay out here, it's going to be really hard to stay in touch with them, or for them to stay in touch with anybody in the city. So we're going to have to think of some sort of way to create an emergency contact system other than technology, which is going to be unreliable until we find some other means to remedy that, or until the spirits decide to get on the good side again and, you know, we get some Weaver spirits to work with us in regards to that.
Okay. Is there a way of getting, say, a radio phone out here for emergencies only? Like, I know we don't have the cellular way of getting it in contact, but maybe radio phones until
I could
we
get
can.
a satellite phone, or I could get possibly some like long distance walkie talkies. The only issue with that is they could potentially be interfered with. It could be traced a lot easier, potentially.
Okay.
Again, without the spirits on our side, I can't guarantee that they're going to be secure as easily.
I'm going to be doing a lot of groundwork here in the cairn, but I didn't have an initial plan to move in here. What I could do is look for a place that's nearby where I'm within range of signal, and if you guys need to get a message to the cairn, I could at times be home and accessible there. So, I mean, I could, I don't know, go apartment shopping nearby. I've been living in a friend's garage for much longer than I want. So I'd like to not have myself in their area. That's just complicated.
Okay. These are all good options. I hope that the spirit situation is temporary, which we should all discuss how we want to fix these situations moving forward as far as the spirits go, because we're not going to get very far. I've done my due diligence to help us through the Bloody Mary thing, but moving forward, it's still going to be dicey. So
Charles, at this point, kind of steps up, and I have been already running patrols. I could make sure to add this location to my patrol route regularly as well to ensure that I stop by on a regular basis to make sure nothing is amiss. There has been already some scattered leech activity within the city. I've been able to pick off several stragglers on their own. It seems that order has started to fall apart more so than ever without the stranglehold that was Bloody Mary keeping things in line. Many are starting to get bold and go outside of their means, which is making them easy targets.
okay, that's good news. Maybe if you are in certain positions where there may be, well, I want to say ones you can't handle, but look at you. Maybe having Lucas help with that would be beneficial.
Agreed.
I'd like to help also.
And Jester.
Depending on the situation, just call one or the other or both. Yeah.
There is
A big one.
actually a gathering of several that have started to form a posse that are trying to make, it seems, a hideout of sorts for themselves that I could use both of your assistance on.
Of course.
Sounds like a party.
Have you done any reconnaissance on it? Anything that they should know? Any preparations that you and them should do before moving in on that?
It's a house, rather rundown affair on the outskirts. 2-story building, nothing too troublesome except that there is no easy entrance point. All the windows are boarded over. Backyard has a high fence, but several of them have been seen coming and going from the location.
Okay, well, I trust that you all can make proper preparations and get that going and get that eradicated for us. But also moving towards the spirits while we're on the topic. Does anyone have any suggestions on how to move forward with that? Any off the top of your head, how we can handle those things, where we want to start as far as that goes?
Maybe. Okay. Lucas will dig into his bag and take out a file and lay out some photos of Piney Point. This is Piney Point. The Get talked about it. They mentioned it offhand a while back. So while everything else was going on and I had some downtime, I went and checked it out a couple of times. First time I went there, it was relatively empty. I did, in fact, run into somebody. A business type, a power suit, blonde hair, glasses. It was a really eerie moment, Aspen, to be completely honest, because very kind of similar look there. But regardless, seems that they were moving into the industrial area to do something. So I kind of ended the conversation at that point, waited some time, and came back. By the time I came back, there was much more security, much more development. And I ran into the same person again. who in their kindness or in a ploy to try to gain information out of me, I think it's a little bit of the latter, decided to give me a tour of the facility, and they are starting some kind of grow operation there. Greenhouses were built. Almost all the plants in there were not native to this biome at all. And it was a very, very well funded, very well tended operation. I think, based on some observations I made, that this could be our favorite corporate entity moving in. Beyond that, I don't know a lot about them. But I did see a clipboard that had the letters EX at the end of it. After the hurricane, I went to go check on some friends of mine at the Tampa Botanical Gardens, and I happened to notice some familiar plants were beginning to spring up. I don't know if this is causing any kind of spiritual problem, but I think they're taking a page out of our book and setting things loose.
When did you talk to this other Aspen?
It was probably about 6, 7 months ago.
Okay.
We had a lot of other pressing things going on. It was not immediately dangerous, but now I think we have the bandwidth to take a look into it.
Hold on, Kent.
Mhm.
Going to poorly roll my environmentalism,
Okay.
my science, about invasive species and like honestly like how dangerous they can be.
Sure. So intelligence and science.
Mm-hmm.
Can I help with that? Because I also have environmental science as my specialty. So
Sure. So I'll let you even add 2 dice because she has the same specialty as well.
Nice. I'm going to spend a willpower. Three successes.
Okay. So funny thing about Florida is primarily invasive species. It is hard to say what further impact it could have on this area. Now, there have been efforts made to contain or remove invasive species from Florida, but it's kind of like trying to remove flies from shit at this point. There is just so many invasive species. Even palm trees are invasive. Like most of the species that are associated with Florida are native or are invasive. Spanish moss is invasive. You know, most of the things attributed to Florida are invasive. So, is it harmful? Absolutely. That's why customs exists. That's why they, try to stop you from taking many things on planes or across borders. That's why a lot of things are outlawed. However, a certain amount of damage has already been done. Depending on the type of species, it could be extremely detrimental or damaging. You would need further information. You would need to know exactly what you were dealing with to see what it was. However, in a scientific capacity, there are certain labs, certain agencies, certain, government funded operations that are allowed to do studies on invasive species and stuff like that if given the proper permits and equipment and facilities to do so. So it's not entirely illegal as long as they have the right containment and operations to do it. So it's kind of a gray area. It really depends. And this particular agency, if it is as bad as Lucas says, probably has that kind of clearance.
Right. But actually, more what I was like thinking about was like when dealing with invasive species, though, it's best to like tackle them early on and not let them get too far ahead, right?
For sure. Yeah. But it depends on the species. Some take decades to cause detrimental damage. Some take months. Some take days. Some take, it depends on the species. It's really hard to say. I would say most take quite some time because they need to grow, they need to root, they need to go through several seasons to like blossom and spread, and the seeds need to travel. So I would say it takes at least a full year for them to really get going.
Okay. I mean, probably would have been nice to know earlier on, but we still probably have a chance to remove any of the seeds and things before it becomes too invasive. Also, if this corporation is connected to the ones that we've been dealing with before, and Indron did own Piney Point 10 years ago, they probably have permits to research invasive species.
Okay. Lucas, I am just going to say this one more time, since this is the past and we're in the present. You're not the authority on what's important and what's not important. So if you come across things like this in the future, you tell me right away. Are we understood?
No matter the heat, I will let you know.
Good. Eliza, do you think us taking care of this potential problem at Piney Point would get us? Do you think that it has a detriment to the spirits, and us potentially taking care of this problem could get us at least slightly in their good graces?
Potentially. I think that this isn't going to be a very quick and easy solution. I think that, in fact, if you are dealing with what you're dealing with, if it is, in fact, the organization that Lucas is referring to, you're going to need spiritual help in order to deal with it. If you try to tackle it without the spirit's good graces, you are going to be in for quite a struggle because they are surrounded by Banes. They are infested with Banes, and in fact, probably things far worse than Banes. So, without reliable spiritual assistance, you might as well just throw all your hopes up in the air. Bloody Mary and the efforts taken there were a cakewalk compared to that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I found some things at Greer's, and I remember some memories from Ryder. They had to deal with something called a wormhole. It was like some thing that allowed them to, like, spirits to walk from the Umbra into here.
It is a literal hole in the Umbra into the spiritual world. It is a open passageway.
I think there's still some reports or something at Greer's I could dig up and get to you if you want to take a look at them.
Absolutely anything you can find on what it was before, so we have an idea of what we're potentially dealing with. And makes sense, Eliza. Don't put the cart before the horse. Got it.
This is certainly outside of our efforts with the current resources we have. Now, it's something to keep an eye on and definitely investigate and start looking into and prepare ourselves for, because it will be a threat to be dealt with. But in our current situation, not something to be confronted at this time. At this point, Charles steps up once again in the sake of transparency. Matthias was already looking into something similar from the Sept in the north. Apparently, they have interacted with a similar situation in a Sept up in Michigan, I believe, encountered something similar. One of our assets reported to us up north that they encountered a similar growth phenomena appearing up there, and that they are investigating the situation similarly. Perhaps if we gain further intelligence from them with the resources they have that could assist us, it might be best to let them pursue the matter further, and when we gain their intelligence, we could act on that intelligence.
Okay. Then if that's the case, yes, Jester, if you could get anything that you can get from before, Charles, if you could have communication with Matthias, anything that he gets as far as information on that, you can report back when we have our meetings, would be very helpful. I appreciate that.
We're currently pursuing potentially getting reinforcements from that Sept.
That's good, I suppose. As for the spirits going back, I have been doing very small things, trying to lay groundwork of visiting various parks, mostly parks in poorer neighborhoods that aren't well tended, and cleaning up trash, trying to like provide like better like mulch or plant for the plants and like food for some of the animals and wildlife there, just to try to basically do what Joseph was doing with the Memorial Park when we first got there, like trying to make it just a little bit better, maybe just to lay groundwork. I don't know. I'll look to Eliza what we could do to further like.
Well, I believe that's a good start, honestly. Every effort, every action we take impacts the spirits in some way, no matter how minute. Those kinds of offerings do have impact. Now, they are small, but they do add up over time. Showing that you are making an effort does make a difference. However, I do believe they will be looking for something more grandiose. Now, what we could do, and she looks towards Lucas specifically, as one of us has started to open conversations with a new patron, that patron might be eager to have connections. Patrons are very, very strong voices amongst the spiritual community. If y'all were to make contact with your various patrons, perhaps you could do them a service, a boon of sorts. They will answer to you regardless of your spiritual gifts. They are your patrons. They hear you when you speak. If you were to call out to them, commune with them, perhaps if you were to do a service to them, something to appease them directly, they could act on your behalf amongst the spirits, barter on your behalf amongst the spirits. Appease your patrons, they will be your lawyers of sorts on the spiritual side to regain favor amongst them.
Okay, so that's something we can really work out in the very near future if we all want to talk to our patrons and see what we can do for them to kind of get a foot in the door. Charles, if you'd like, we could call out to our patron together.
Of course. There's also
Perfect.
Star. She has gone unspoken to for quite some time. I'm sure she would love a correspondence, and I'd be happy to arrange that.
I'd love to talk to Star again.
As
think
she
that's-
is a loon spirit, she does act on behalf of our dear patron mother. Her voice would be heard quite loudly if we were to appease Mother Loon.
I think exhausting all of our options is the best way to go. So I think separately talking to our patrons, and then I think as a pack talking to Star is a really good first step. Yeah.
Then I think that's the best start, if any.
I've also asked Eliza, and I want to ask the rest of you, and I'm sure you guys have questions because she let the cat out of the bag on that one. And yeah, when we did the cairn ceremony, something felt weird. I mean, it all felt weird. Let's be completely realistic about that. But I felt something different. And at the end of it all, I heard thunder, and that was off-putting. So I've asked her if she could attempt to call the bane that was attached to me, and I would like the rest of you to be there for that. We theorize that the whole act of everything that we did might have destroyed it, but I don't think that I'm bound to it anymore. There's a lot with that I have to process, but I would really appreciate it if you guys were there when we did it.
For your sake, Lucas, as your spiritual attorney, as we've been talking a lot about lawyers, I would clarify the difference. Hashugut was not a bane. He was a spirit. There is a very strong difference. He was a spirit of the worm, certainly, but he was, for all intents and purposes, uncorrupted. He was a pure spirit of the worm. Therefore, there is a clerical difference there. You call him a bane, that he was not.
That's fair. That's fair. And my concern is if I can hear thunder now, then something might have access to it. And I don't think that's fair for it.
Do you still feel connected to it?
I haven't felt anything except thunder. It is, I will be honest with you, he's screaming at this point in the way that he does to communicate with me. So I'm going to make that a priority, but I haven't heard from my friend in some time.
I think it would be beneficial for us to, or for you and us together to try to reach out, see where it is, just in case there is a potential, because I might be wrong, but I know that there was talks that there could be a potential he could be pushed to the worm, is what Eliza was sort of saying, without your influence. And if that's the case and it's around here somewhere wreaking havoc, we need to know and potentially destroy it. So I think it's beneficial for everyone to make sure.
The other possibility, and I did inform Lucas of this, is that we dealt with very powerful spiritual entities when this cairn was awakened. It could be possible that it was already destroyed, albeit unintentionally, just because of its raw, uncontained power upon awakening. But the summoning would give some information. If I am successful enough in the call, he would come if he were in the vicinity to the call. If not, then it is quite likely that he has been returned to the spirit wilds, and it would be some time before he were to reform and revisit.
Understood. My biggest concern is that it's not connected back to the worm and wreaking havoc here by any means. But if you need help, Eliza, well, if you need assistance in calling the spirit, I can help boost the signal if it helps at all.
That would
I could be
be most helpful, yes.
I'll look to Lucas. I could be there for moral support.
See, the more of you that are present, the better. It does strengthen the signal with each voice helping with the call. We have a name, now we just need the raw power of our voices combined to make sure that the signal goes as strong and as loud and as clear as possible into the Umbra. We don't have the assistance of the spirits to help boost the signal, so it will be our raw might sending it out.
Yeah.
That being said, we will have to find a place that is thin in the gauntlet. I do not advise going into the Umbra to do so, which is normally what I would advise, but because of our tenuous or strained terms with the spirits, I do not believe it is best for us to tread on their domain openly and demand attention.
And outside the cairn, too.
Of course, yes. Summoning them here would likely recoil the spirit's attention to defend once more, and if he wasn't destroyed before, he would be again.
Okay, perfect. We'll get on that as well. Lucas, when you'd like to do that, let us know when you're ready. Is there anything else anyone has to bring up?
I have a couple things. One, Ryder has moved on now that Mary is dead. So his business has been fulfilled. And the second is I would like to have a gathering for the departed right for Aiden. I need a little time to prepare, but I'd like to have that here at the cairn probably in a few weeks.
I can assist you with that.
Okay, thanks.
I have some ideas of how to tend to the grounds around that area to make it a more solemn area, more respectful, make it look nice.
Not solemn. Aiden wouldn't like solemn.
Well, I mean, he's not going to be the only one there. I'm going to put a little box next to his tree for hamburgers and tacos. It's going to be fine. Maybe a big box.
Artie at this point looks over at Aspen, but doesn't say anything.
If you all find that necessary, I guess if that's what we need to move forward, then I guess that's acceptable.
Okay.
Good.
One last final thing of a spiritual nature. I have started delving into the history and nature of this place. It has taken a great deal of my attention as of late. So if I do seem a little out of sorts at times, do not be concerned. There is nothing harmful happening. There is just like a lot of information coming in, a lot to sift through, a lot I'm learning, and I've discovered something magnificent and wonderful, something outside of anything I've ever learned before. I believe I have found the impression of a long forgotten patron, Turtle. Now, I do not know who or what they represent or what they belong to. Nothing in my studies recounts anything of Turtle or representing any known tribes, but I am going to be asking a lot of questions and delving into it and looking further, but I believe it is something of magnificence, and I am going to find out as much as I can about it. It is exciting, to say the very least. There is so much history here to be found, and it's wonderful, to say the very least. So if you need me, I will be here. Just make sure to clap or snap your fingers by my ear to gain my attention, because it is quite all-consuming, to say the very least. They have so much to say and so much to learn, and it's quite a lot. So forgive me if I just seem a little out of it at times, but do not hesitate to get my attention if you need something. I am still very much here for you.
I would
Thank
love to hear more about this later.
As would I.
Turtles are cool.
I agree. Well, Artie says, that's it?
Well, if Lucas, you have no updates on your goals to be a underground criminal, I think I have a little bit to bring up. I am going to be starting a firm with Miss Pelfrey. It's in very early talks, so we will get to that when we can, but it is going to help us get a step forward when it comes to Bateman, which I think is our biggest goal moving forward, along with making amends with the spirits, and now, making sure this potential Piney Point situation is rectified. But I will be working with her. I also, if there's any information with this leech posse that you guys can get when infiltrating that, please let me know so we could get the ball rolling when it comes to eradicating Bateman from Tampa and getting one step closer to our goals.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll start filing the necessary paperwork and stuff on the business front and get that all rolling.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great work.
But yeah, I think that was a really productive meeting. We'll get working on that posse. Have Charles get with Matthias about Piney Point, and what's going on in Michigan. We will all talk to our patrons. Lucas, let us know when you want to reach out to your spirit. Eliza, keep up the good work with Turtle. And we'll get with Star soon as well.
All right, great. So as you all can say your goodbyes and wrap up the meeting, heading your separate ways, there's a lot to consider, a lot to think about, a lot that hangs in the air unsaid, a lot of separate thoughts and feelings to carry with you walking away from this meeting. That being said, let's go over what some of those thoughts and feelings are. Aspen, we'll start with you.
Aspen is just trying to keep moving forward, to have goals, have everybody on a course, avoiding topics at all costs. But she's really just trying to push people in directions and keep them motivated and keep them going. She does, like, as everybody leaves, she'll linger on the tree before she leaves.
Jester.
Jester is currently thinking about, well, other than getting the things for Aspen, the information, she's also thinking about meeting with Gorgon. She is excited and kind of a little worried because what Raven said when she left still lingers in Jester's mind about Gorgon not wanting her anymore. So she does desperately want to know that. So she's a little worried about that. And at the same time, she's noticing a couple of things, like Aspen quickly glossing over anything about Aiden, and almost was weird that Artie didn't know that she was going to set up an outlaw farm, or that's what it seemed like, because he seemed a little surprised when he said he was going to start the paperwork. Just seems a little weird.
Okay. And Lucas.
Lucas is excited. He's going to get his things together and start planning a trip out to the coast near the water. And he is also nervous because he knows the reputation that Thunder has and what it means, what Thunder exudes. And while he doesn't consider himself a person who is intimidated by others, he's concerned that that's about to drastically change. He's also really motivated to start working on the cairn. It's something that reminds him of where he came from for the first time in a long time. But yeah, he's also walking away from that meeting wondering if somebody needed to bang a gavel to call an end to it, if we needed to email out a memo on notes at the end of it. That was just not what he was used to, and he's a little thrown off by that.
A variety of emotions, a variety of feelings, but motivations as well for the future. Plans moving forward. Keep moving forward. The past can haunt us. It can hold us down. It can be like a shackle, a ball and chain around our ankles if we let it. However, eventually that ball and chain has to be tended to. Because whether we like it or not, it is there, even if we ignore it. That being said, let's move to our last scene of tonight's story. Setting up a law firm is a big deal. There's a lot of paperwork and forms and late nights. So on this particular late night, Aspen, you are buried in piles of paperwork to the point that you don't even know what time it is. It's getting into the late hours of the evening. As you are filling out form after form, you're piling up books of what you're going to need, filling out, different order slips of what you're going to need in the offices, kind of researching different buildings of where you'd want to set up shop. You're so engrossed, in fact, that you don't even notice Artie standing watching you until he clears his throat, drawing your attention upward. As you take in your boyfriend standing off to the side, you look over him and he looks not well, to say the very least. His clothes are disheveled, like his shirt is kind of mussed. He's got some scruff on his face, and his eyes he's got very strong bags under his eyes, and they're kind of red, almost as if he'd been crying a little bit. Hey, sorry to bother you. Can I have a sec?
Yeah, and she'll push away her laptop just for a second, but like keep kind of finishing a paper, putting it over to the side. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. I know this is huge, and really, really proud of you for getting with Pelfrey and setting up this thing. I think it's so great what you're doing, and it's going to be really, really helpful. I think this is totally what the pack needs, what the city needs. I mean, you're going to help a lot of people for everything, but I'm having a real hard time ever since the boat And I can't shake it. I'm really, really trying to shake it, and I don't know. I just can't. It's like it's happening all over again.
Yeah, I think it was rough night, but there was a lot of good that came from it, I think.
But good came from it.
Bloody Mary's gone. That's kind of been our goal for a really long time. So, yeah. So, I mean, focusing on the good stuff, you know?
He was my brother, Aspen. He was the first guru I encountered in Tampa. The first real guru I encountered in Tampa in a long time. He was your best friend. I know it was important, and I know I'm so grateful for what he did, but it just doesn't feel right doing this without him anymore. It doesn't feel the same.
No, I know. It's hard. I think it's hard on everyone. I think it's rough, but I think what's best for everyone right now is to keep moving forward. I think we move forward, right?
How are we supposed to move forward?
Well, I've got this. We've got other things happening. We're doing what we need to do. I mean, make it mean something, right? That's what we do.
I agree. We will do that. Yes, you're right. We will do that eventually. But for right now, maybe we just need to sit in this for a second. I need to sit in this for a second. I wouldn't have you if it wasn't for him. I wouldn't have you right now if it wasn't for him. I wasn't even in the room. I couldn't have done anything when you went out that wall.
And that's exactly why it needs to mean something. And that's exactly why we need to keep moving forward. We don't have time to sit
Yes,
in
we
it.
do.
We don't.
We do.
Artie, we don't. I'm telling you, we don't. And I need you to be on the same page with me. We can't move. We can't do
And I need you right now. Who else am I supposed to go to? I need you. I lost another brother, Aspen. Another one. To this werewolf shit. I lost another brother.
And you got through it then, and we'll get through it now. You got through it. You did it. You did it.
Did it because I had to, and I had to do it alone. Do I have to do it alone again?
I don't know what you want me to do, Artie. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for it. We can't. We don't have time. We've got to keep going. This right now is the only time we have. This, the Bateman thing, the everything going on. If we stop, they win. We don't have time. You've done it once. I know you can do it again.
Okay. Okay. That's what you need.
Thank you.
I'll get the stuff taken care of, and I'll make sure that that's ready by tomorrow.
I appreciate that. I've got to get through all this papers.
Yeah.
But so don't wait up for me. I'll be there when I'm done.
Okay. He watches for another minute, turns to walk out, and as you bury yourself immediately into the paperwork, you don't notice as he pauses to look back one more time, but seeing nothing in response, not even a look, he turns and he leaves the room. Grief comes in a variety of ways. Ignoring that grief is one of the ways that's the worst of all. As our story comes to a close tonight on the premiere of Season 3, we couldn't do it without one final scene. But this scene, because it's Season 3, doesn't take place in a high-rise, doesn't take place in a boardroom, it doesn't even take place in the city of Tampa. No, it takes place way, way, way up north, about 1,200 miles away in Detroit, Michigan, at an airport, where a woman with blonde hair, business attire, except now she's wearing a heavy winter coat, with glasses, stands on a runway beside a private plane as cargo is being unloaded from another plane. Several boxes, crates, being unloaded by men in jumpsuits and heavy winter coats. And on the side of those crates is a very, very specific brand and logo. The brand is the word Pentex. She looks over to another rather nondescript man who's got a big heavy coat on, a hood up. She is dressed very sparsely, but seems to be unbothered by the very frigid winter conditions. She looks over to the man. And the farm's going well? Yes, ma'am, as scheduled. Good. We're going to need as much as we can get. There's lots and lots of land to cover. Yes, ma'am. And that's where our story comes to a close this evening. Thanks to our amazing players. Thank you to everyone watching at home. Season 3 is off to a start. We'll be back here next week at our regular time, 10 p.m. Eastern. So come back and join us. If you like what you see, go follow us on all of the social media listed down below, or come be a part of our community by joining us at the Discord link down below, where you could participate in one-shots. You could just chat with our community or hang out at one of our many community events, or you could potentially find yourself at one of our tables by getting on our looking for group listings. So why not join in and be a part of the fun? But for our amazing players, I'm Kent. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Good night.
So how with the path, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. Rage Across Tampa is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pack. The storyteller for Rage Across Tampa is Kent. Tonight's characters were voiced by Preston, Champ, Noree, and Weiss. Visit our website at stpbynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.